Welcome back to my inner sanctum. I'm your hostess, Countess Elizabeth, Mistress of the Macabre, and today we will be revisiting one of my favorite topics, the bodies of the lost mountaineers on Mount Everest. I already made a video talking about some of the most famous bodies on Mount Everest death zone, but there were still a few I wanted to share with you today, my fiends. I'm going to cover the backstory of the most famous of these corpses still left on the mountain. So let us take another trip to the Rainbow Valley and find our way to the summit so we can explore our grotesque curiosity. Just recapping for those who don't know, the death zone reverts to altitudes above a certain point where the pressure of the oxygen is insufficient to sustain human life for extended time span. This point is generally tagged at 8,000 meters or 26,000 feet. Everest's death zone is famous for the over 200 bodies that litter the area, even being called the Rainbow Valley because of the colorful jackets worn by the climbers who died there. This is primarily the region where all these bodies can be found. Also, for the most part, tend to die from a fall, altitude sickness, or exposure. This is the body of Francis Estintev. Her cause of death was exposure. She is one of the most well-known of these unfortunate hikers, and is popularly known by her posthumous title, Sleeping Beauty. In May of 1998, the 40-year-old Francis, an American-born hiker, was encouraged by her son, Paul DeStefano, to scale the mountain. Part of those elite group of hikers that don't use supplemental oxygen bags, she was eager to be one of the first American women to reach the summit without supplemental oxygen. Francis asked her son, Paul DeStefano, whether she should climb the summit. Paul told her, "If I tell you you can't go, then at some point you'll be an old lady in a rocking chair saying, 'Dang, I should have done that. I don't want to be the one to take that from you.'" But DeStefano had a change of heart when he had a nightmare about two hikers trapped in a storm on Mount Everest. While he asked his mother not to go, she reminded them of their previous discussion, claiming she felt she had to make the trip. She should have heeded Paul's warning. Maybe she was just focused on achieving that title of being the first woman to reach the peak without supplemental oxygen. But if I were her, I would have heeded his ominous dream as a warning. But that's just me. Arsentev made her trek along her famous husband, mountaineer Sergei Arsentev. Tragically, while Francis and her husband did reach Everest summit, they never descended. Since neither Francis nor Sergei Arsentev returned from their journey to Mount Everest, the exact sequence of events surrounding their demise is impossible to know with certainty. Many believe, however, that the couple became separated after being forced to camp in Everest death zone overnight, possibly delirious due to lack of oxygen. Francis may have left the camp sometime during the night. Sergei then would have awoken to find her gone and proceeded to search for her along the mountain. Arsentev was first found by a group of hikers from Uzbekistan. Unlike the usual protocol on Everest to just walk by the hiker in peril, these hikers attempted to help her, giving her a few oxygen bottles and carrying her down the mountain. But their efforts ultimately failed when their own oxygen became depleted. Arsentev repeatedly said, "Don't leave me here," as fellow climbers debated how to help her. When the climbers let her know they had to leave, they promised to come back with help. Arsentev either mistook them or was skeptical of their promise. In response, she asked, "Why are you doing this to me?" Her words will continue to haunt hikers years later and echo onto history. Some of the same group of hikers encountered Arsentev's husband Sergei on their way back and tried to direct him towards his wife. This was the last time Sergei Arsentev was seen alive. The body of Arsentev wasn't found until 1999, about a year after the couple's tragic end. A climber named Jake Norton located Sergei's body, which was fairly close to where his wife had passed. Sergei most likely suffered a fatal fall while attempting to rescue his wife. This is Hannelore Schmatz, a German hiker who died from exposure and exhaustion in 1979. It is believed she stopped to rest and leaned up against her backpack, leaving the body propped in this unusual way. It seems common for deaths on Everest to occur during a rest or a nap. The person falls asleep and never wakes up. Schmatz was on the expedition via the Southeast Ridge route with her husband, Gerhard Schmatz, when she died at 8,300 meters, 27,200 feet. Schmatz is the fourth woman to summit Everest and was the first woman to die on Everest. The wind eventually blew Schmatz's remains over the ledge and down Kaohsiung Face. Here, Slovenian climber Marko Leteneker also died from exposure and exhaustion during his descent in 2005. He was last seen having problems with his oxygen mask. His body is 8,800 meters from the bottom, so most people likely use his body as a landmark for 8,800 meters. This is the body of Shreya Shaflorfin. Shreya reached the summit in 2012. Shreya had booked her climb at Utmost Adventure Trekking, which was a new guide company. Neither she nor the guide had much experience. The leader of the guide firm had asked her not to try to summit on that day, and previously warned her that she was a below-average climber. However, another guide firm said she was not given enough bottled oxygen. One source I found said she ran out of oxygen and died because she spent 25 minutes celebrating her victory before beginning her descent. Either way, it seems like she died because of lack of preparation and inexperience. Her body was on the mountain for about 10 days before it was carried back down. The body was then retrieved from 8,000 meters altitude and taken off the mountain by a helicopter. Well, that was some truly grotesque tales. I just wanted to bring to light some of the other climbers who are lost on the mountain besides the one I covered in the previous video. It just amazes me that there are so many people who want to climb this deadly mountain knowing that it's famous for all the frozen corpses of adventurers past. But they might have the urge to climb it because it's just what the adventurer George Mallory claimed, that because it's there. May the souls of the dead rest in peace. Thank you for watching the video. Like, subscribe, and share if you would also like to keep exploring our grotesque curiosity. We will meet again in the darkness of the night.